Hi there, this is the second of 3 videos on a bearing replacement in a Hotpoint WM11 washing machine. Before you do any work on a domestic appliance, remember to work safe and disconnect the machine from the power supply. In the first video we removed the top. Then the fascia panel, followed by the front panel. The drum front plate was the next part to be removed. We unscrewed the pulley from the inner drum and removed that. Then we took the inner drum out of the container before knocking out the bearings. The bearing housing on this one looks far worse than it actually is. The section with all the gouge marks on is the buffer area between the inner and outer bearings. As long as the bearing seating is smooth, you shouldn't have any problem. As you can see, the bearings are sealed to keep the grease in and the water out. But if the water seal fails, then it's not long before water seeps in and washes the grease out. That's why it's important to make sure the bush on the drum support is clean. But that's in the next video. The next thing to do before replacing the bearings is to clean up the area around the bearing housing. It's not necessary to clean the whole inside of the container unless you feel really energetic, but it is advisable to clean this area to prevent grit or anything else getting between the bearing and its seating in the housing. You may want to lubricate the seating with a bit of Vaseline just to make fitting the new bearing a little easier. It's not essential, but it's an option. Fit the bearing in the housing and tap it in with the handle of a hammer just to get it started. Then use a chisel or iron bar to gradually tap it all the way in. Make sure you only hit the outer sleeve of the bearing or you could damage it, and also vary the striking point so it goes in evenly. Now fit the water seal so the flat edge is facing out, and using the handle of your hammer again, tap it level with the edge of the housing. Fitting the outer bearing is much the same as the inner one, only you don't need a chisel. You can tap the outer edge of it with a hammer, but you still need to vary the point at which you strike it. When it's flush with the housing, then it's in as far as it will go. Refit the inner drum, and don't worry if it doesn't go all the way back at this point, because screwing the pulley on will do that for you. Attach the pulley onto the threaded part of the shaft and give it a few turns, or turn the inner drum clockwise just to start it off. Then place the handle of your hammer between one of the spokes and a recess in the container to prevent it from turning. Now spin the inner drum clockwise. This will screw the pulley on and pull the drum in at the same time. Give the drum a couple of sharp tugs when it's on, just to tighten it. Before you replace the drum front plate, check the seal is in good condition. They're usually flattened into an oval shape, so will need to be removed and cleaned, along with the front plate itself. Although the old seal can be refitted, it's advisable to replace it with a new one, especially after doing major work like bearing changes. Use a wire brush if you have one and run it round the lip on the front plate to remove as much scale as possible. Do the same on the facing edge of the container, so that when the new seal is fitted on the front plate, there won't be any grip present to cause a leak. When you fit a new seal, look out for the white mark on it. This should be fitted at the top of the front plate. If there's no mark on your new seal, just find the joint and place that at the top. There are two little recesses on the front plate that marry up to two notches on the container. If these are not lined up correctly, the front panel won't fit properly. There's no particular right or wrong order in replacing the clips, but you may find it beneficial to fit opposite clips first, rather than just working all the way round from one side. Leave the bottom three clips until last because these are the small ones and they fit on slightly differently. The barbed hooks catch onto the edge of the container and the lip section hooks over the small ledge on the rim of the front plate. You may be able to just hook them on, but in most cases you'll have to use a screwdriver to lever them up. When you replace the front panel, hook it onto the kick plate first or it won't fit properly. Close it up and replace the 3 screws along the top edge. Then you can fit the 3 underneath. Replacing the interlock is straightforward. These two little tabs on it fit into these holes in the front panel, so as long as they're located okay, then the latch plate and screws will line up as well. Before you refit the door sill, pull all the edge out from inside the drum so it rests evenly on the front panel. You can then start to hook it into the lip around the edge of the door opening. This way the sill will go on evenly and not twisted. Hook the larger of the two sections of the clasp onto the door sill retaining band and fix it into the plastic clip. Put your hand inside the door opening and hold the clip in place by pressing it through the sill, otherwise you could push it out. Feed the band around the edge of the door sill. You could use some washing up liquid to lubricate the band if you wanted to, before adding the other part of the clasp and joining the two together. Put the fascia panel back on and replace the screws in the timing knob recess. The screws that go in the dispenser opening are the stainless steel ones that you should have kept separate from the rest. Once they've been replaced, you can push the dispenser drawer in. Make sure the flap on the drawer is closed or it won't go. Put the knob back on and turn it until the clamping screw is visible in the opening on top of the cabinet. Then tighten it up, but don't over tighten it or you could break it. Before replacing the top, check that the spring you previously took off when you removed the pulley has been refitted, or the machine could be very unstable during a wash. It just remains to fit the top and you're ready to test it. On behalf of Selfix UK, we'd like to thank you for watching this video and hope you found it interesting. Goodbye.